Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Ask Deadly. I haven't been doing this for the last couple weeks. I've had some crazy weekends, lots of scheduling, so I am finally able to take a look at some of you guys' questions you left me a couple weeks ago, so let's get started. Do you think they'll add more predatory animals in 0.63? As of right now, we only have wolves, so maybe bears or some other type of animals that's in the area. Well, we already know that bears are going to be coming to DayZ. As for other things like mountain lions and things like that, we'll have to see. But I'm sure that the developers are considering it. I think bears are going to be in the deep western areas. That right now there's a lot of rushing rivers and creeks and rapids. That's kind of like bear territory. Bears like to hang out by rivers and fast-moving rapids to catch salmon. So I'm thinking that's probably where the bears are going to be. So we'll have to see though with all the other things. Like it would be kind of hilarious if they added like something crazy like a tiger that's super rare. That is the chance of like finding you and stalking you, but it's a little bit more on the ridiculous side. But bears will be happening, confirmed. Do you think once base building is out, farming will become more popular? To me, it makes way more sense. If they're going to build a base, I want it to be hidden. If I want to be hidden, I'm not going to be building it near a town with population. So if I'm going to be far away from a potential food source, wouldn't it be smarter to just grow your own food? Separate question, do you think vehicle spawns will be increased due to the fact that we don't have infinite sprinting? Keep up the good work. Yeah, I mean, we've already seen that with trading outposts that are popping up. Building trading outposts and community hubs has been a very popular thing in the DayZ community over the last few months. It's been bringing people back to the game. It's trying to do something a little bit more interesting that's untraditional from the typical DayZ experience. And with those camps comes food sources. And the more people that you have in an area, looting for food just doesn't cut it. If you've ever tried to go with a big group of 20 to 30 people, you know that you will just never find enough food to satisfy everybody unless people pick apples, and that's typically what happens. So when they fix the gathering glitch, which I hope will be in 0.63, people are going to have to rely on other food sources, not just apples. So big communities and areas with large amounts of people, they will have to hunt or gather food to survive. Now, as for the vehicle spawns, I believe so. I think they're going to be adding bicycles, so that should really help people move around. But if you've ever played Arma 3 or if you've played DayZ mod, the stamina system is going to be very similar to that. And in fact, you're still going to be running very fast in DayZ standalone. So I think people are being a little overzealous. The travel time, sure, it's going to take a few extra minutes to get from point A to point B, but it's still going to be way faster than how you moved in the mod. Are you worried modding will turn DayZ survival into a DayZ overpock and basing gameplay on easy to loot and PvP? There will be servers like that for sure. That will definitely happen, and I know that's been a big concern for a lot of the current DayZ player base, which is only a few thousand people. So we are the nichiest of the niche, like the survival bushcrafty people that kind of like the game in its current state, or eventually whenever 0.63 comes out, that's going to be like the perfect game, and modding might put a lot more emphasis on like maybe a battle royale mod or what you mentioned like overpock. And overpock is probably the best example of the worst style of base building in my honest opinion for survival games. So there won't be any like giant tower base building things in beta until modders come in and adding that. That type of gameplay, not for me and not for a lot of other people. But should it be allowed? Of course, modders should be able to make their own like versions of DayZ, and sometimes people are going to be they're going to appeal to that, and they're going to bring people back to DayZ. So just because you don't like that type of DayZ doesn't mean that there won't be other servers that will appeal to you. A lot of people are afraid that modding is going to destroy the game, but if you go back and look at DayZ mod, whenever the multiple maps and the different game modes were released, DayZ mod was in a really terrible place before they allowed people to mod and create different maps. A lot of people were like leaving the game, just like now in standalone. It was far too buggy. Hackers were a really big problem. Exploiters was a massive issue, and people were leaving, just like they are in standalone right now. Modding turned everything around and brought a lot of people back into the game with the multiple map options and pretty much endless types of mods. So it's going to be a good thing for the game, especially for you survivalists out there. There will be hardcore DayZ standalone mods that appeals to you. There will probably be servers with very low food spawns that forces you to actually use the survival mechanics to live, and it's going to be a cool thing to see, so I wouldn't be worried about that. And to continue this discussion, squeaky chair, I don't really want base building in DayZ. And trust me guys, like, the devs have been paying attention to the feedback from other games. Like, you're not gonna have an H1Z1 or miscreated style base building. They're eyesores, they're not going in that direction. From what we can see from the concepts and what's currently in the game files, it's going to be a largely, like, there's gonna be a big emphasis on building walls and outpost towers that you can do, like lookout towers, and then barricading pre-existing buildings. So the idea is to put walls around your camp, so you're still storing loot in barrels, crates, camping tents. There's gonna be like open fire pits. It's gonna be open camps, not building massive multi-story towers that skyrocket into the sky and make no physical sense. That's not what the developers are doing, and it's like, I see it miscreate all the time. There's like floating bases and shit. Like that's they're not going that way. I promise you. Maybe a modder will, but the devs won't. Hey Deadly, what's going on? I love your videos. Do you think the developers will implement jumping, climbing walls and fences? I know they've spoken about it on some status reports a long time ago, but what is your opinion about it, and how immersive do you think it should be? Hello from Brazil. So with the most recent DayZ beta footage, we've seen our first implementations of falling. So you will be able to jump from higher distances now whenever you're trying to escape and evade players and other zombies or other threats in general. I don't believe climbing over fences will be included in beta, but that's pure speculation. Who knows? They might include it and surprise us, but we know that that will be coming eventually, so we'll have to wait and see. Hey Deadly, regarding your video AKM suppressed, what caused the vehicle rubber banding, and how can you fix that problem? You tried jumping over the train tracks. Can you go into a little bit more detail on this topic? Thanks. Well, the idea there was the truck was probably pushed below the terrain. So some of the wheels can get hung up below the terrain, causing the vehicle to just spaz out and not being able to be driven very well. So the idea was, if I hit the train tracks hard enough, the vehicle would, like, the tires would pop out of the ground and then rest on the ground again and maybe drive a little bit smoother. But from what we can see, vehicles are pretty much unplayable whenever the servers are full. So, and I don't really know why. So I don't have any problems with vehicles on servers below 40 population, but as soon as it starts getting closer towards 60 players, things just stop working. But there has been times where I've been driving vehicles on 60-man servers and they were working fine. So I really can't tell you what's wrong with the vehicles. They've been broken for a very long time, and I know the developers are working on that, but man, vehicles have always been, for standalone, one of the worst features. So it's really off-putting to see vehicles have been just not working for so long, for years, with very similar problems. So I'm hoping that they either work better in beta or later down the road. So fingers crossed. In Escape from Tarkov, there can only be a certain amount of players, and I've seen more and more large groups. So my question is, how do you think they could stop this? It'll be a new meta to fill a group with max players for woods, and then vacuum it all the goodies. If filling up a server, so much change, like no one need to waste time on checking the spawns, dying early to some unknown factor, but still people need to be able to group up. What could balance this out? Any ideas? So to kind of reiterate what you're trying to say is, you have a problem with 5-man groups taking all the loot on woods before you can complete the raid. Well, all I can say is my experience with 5-man squads, unless they play together all the time, you can actually fuck those guys up, because the comms, just firing a barrage in their direction is going to cause so much confusion in their TeamSpeak or Discord that if you do it right, you can really take shots from one angle, flank around to the right, and take shots from other angles, and possibly kill a couple of them. But as they dwindle, they're going to get a little bit more skilled, the comm lines are going to be quieter, and you're going to have to deal with the threat a little bit more. So I know what you're saying. Like, group of fives, though, it's not all roses. Like, it does have some problems. I prefer rolling with groups of 2 or 3. Anything more than that is just way too hectic, and I don't enjoy the game. I actually end up dying more in Escape from Tarkov when I'm grouped up with players than whenever I'm alone. Yeah, it's difficult, man. If you get an experienced group that plays together often and has good strategies and good lines of communication, you're probably just going to be unable to compete with those guys. So the thing is, though, in Tarkov, from what I've seen, there's always loot on the server. Not everybody doesn't loot everything. So most of the groups don't clean up all of the loot. They usually just go in, kill other players, kill the scavs, loot the scavs, and leave. Very rarely you'll see big groups of 5 going box to box, checkpoint to checkpoint, loot location to loot location. Those places are usually good to go. That's why scav mode on maps like the woods works so well, because there's always a lot of loot to be had. So I would say for you, take some extra time, learn some of the areas on the map that might not be as known, like some of the loot crates on the woods especially. There's lots of little green crates that are spread around that people haven't discovered yet. Or I mean, people have discovered it, but the vast majority of new players don't know where they are. Don't be afraid to loot jackets. Jackets have gold chains on them, gas filters, gas analyzers, lots of gear that you can sell to therapists. I think a lot of people don't take the trash items when they're new to the game. They only go for the guns. But man, if you get to learn some of the trash items, they sell for a lot. You can make a lot of money going and farming jackets and residential loot. And that's what I do, man. On Shoreline, those 2 estate houses are very good. Lots of safes, lots of computer parts. Like, farming computer parts is an outstanding way of making money in Escape from Tarkov. So just try to diversify what you do, and if you're alone and you see a 5-man squad, try to let them pass or try to fuck up their day as much as you can before you bite the bullet. Well guys, that is going to be it for me this week. If you guys have any questions, ask them in the comment section below, and upvote comments because I read the top comments first. So if you see somebody with a similar question, don't just write it a second time, give them an upvote. And I hope you guys found this video interesting. And again, sorry for the 3-week delay with the Ask Deadly episodes. Sometimes, guys, on Sundays, I'm going to start taking a little bit more time off. I upload videos usually every single day of the week. I stream every single day of the week. And sometimes it can be really overwhelming. So every now and again, if there's no Ask Deadly episode, it's just probably me taking the night off. Check Twitter. We can do these every couple weeks. It doesn't need to be every week, but you know, if I'm around and you guys have some really good compelling questions, I will definitely be making these videos still on Sundays. So have yourselves a good weekend, and I'll see you guys during the live streams.